Oh, g'day there and welcome back to the Mad Monday podcast brought to you by 4 and 20 Pies, the perfect at-home snack for watching rugby league. You'll be surprised to hear me, a lot of you, listen to the podcast. I had admitted and accepted, taken an early plea to careless podcasting and accepted a 1-week ban from the podcast. Chris, to fill you in on what happened, we went out to talk to the fellas out at Mount Smart,
the other day.
On Monday. Jazz Tavanga, we talked to Marcelo Montoya, we talked to Luke Metcalf, and I asked Jazz Tavanga how the rehab was going, and he said, I'm not doing rehab, and I said, oh, great.
And he played really well at the weekend as well?
He's played for the last 10 weeks. He was only out for about a month.
Yeah.
The most confusing part about the whole thing is that I have commentated all of those games.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, the state you're in the last commentary.
Yeah, that's right. I didn't remember the Friday one, but yeah, he has been in the lineup for quite some time now.
How did he handle it? Because there's two ways in my experience, and this has happened to me a lot, this sort of shit, when I was working at Sky, is they either like go, yeah, well, no, I haven't actually been doing rehab, but I'm feeling really good since the injury, and they'll just like quickly, or he'll just like be like, I haven't been doing rehab.
Yeah, that one.
That one?
Yeah, that one. There's a full, I think there's a full video of that going up today. Of that podcast, you can go and watch it on YouTube.
Shit, yeah. Is it you asking the question and then him saying, I don't do rehab, and then you quickly being like, how do I stop bowling a stock wrong, and then just quickly switch subject?
And then playing Firestarter over the top of it. Yeah, that's exactly what it was. No, it was basically him. I mean, you'll see it in the video. He just like stared me down and then goes, I'm not doing rehab. Then he turned to Dyer and he goes, fuck, has this guy done any research?
Oh my God.
I was like, oh, okay, sweet.
Shit. And the worst part is you don't even need to research that because you've been watching the games. And
This is what went wrong in my defense, if I could. It was that we were actually interviewing someone else and they were injured and they got swapped out at the last minute.
Right.
And you're right, I over-prepped. I don't need to prep for talking about the Warriors to the Warriors.
You don't.
I've watched and commentated every single one of their games. And so I got nervous, looked down at my piece of paper. First question, were you injured? That question was for Luke Metcalf.
Yeah.
How's your rehab going? And
did you try and justify it afterwards to Jazz?
No.
No, it was done.
What was the justification going to be? I did go, no, but how is the hammy? And he goes, yeah, it's fine.
That's like someone hitting you up about that flu you had like a month ago.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, it's well and truly gone.
That was like over a month ago. So it's fine. So yeah. Anyway, we are back for the Thursday episode. This is generally where we look through the team list, give you a couple of SuperCoach tips going into the end of your season, as well as our Mad Monday hunch. The team lists are on the back there, Chris. And as I cast my eye down at a myriad of changes, a raft of changes, most surprisingly to me, Jazz Tavanga's back. He's on the bench.
That's a quick recovery.
I know.
Far out.
He was in rehab.
Wasn't it a hammy?
Yeah.
Far out.
It was a hammy, but he's back in there. I think the biggest thing for me is something that we've all been calling for. It may be too little too late because we have to go undefeated from here on out. But the first name on your team sheet for this weekend, Roger Tuivasa-Sheck.
He's at fullback. It's going to be for 1 week.
Yeah.
And then Tane Tupuka, he'll be back.
It was a head knock last week, for Tane?
Yeah, so pretty nasty head knock, but he'll be back in a week. So you're fizzed up. What are you expecting from Roger? Because obviously...
Save our season.
Just a classic RTS scenario. He's back at the Warriors just to save the season again.
Yeah.
But I was thinking about it on the way in. No Tohu Harris, no Sean Johnson, no Chance Nickel-Klukstad. Those are like our three guys, right? Those are our three leaders, and now Mitch Barnett. Roger comes in at fullback. He's a completely different player to Chance Nickel-Klukstad. He doesn't really unlock that right side. He's more of a. He's like when you put Joey Manu at fullback and he just hummus it hard out, but it's sick. You know what I mean?
Maybe, yeah.
So it's going to have to be individual brilliance from Roger with him at fullback. But have you seen the Tigers team? I think he's going to get a hat trick.
Yeah, I know they are tough to look. I mean, Jareem Bullock, great fullback. He's a good try scorer. So is the Forbes Ferrari, Charlie Staines. But it's quite a young and inexperienced team on the other side of the ledger. You know.
Well, Jareem Bullock, what is he, like 22?
Yeah,
he's a young fella. He's the future of the club. Luke Laulili.
Yep. If he walked into the room right now, would you be able to point him out of three?
Luke Laulili. Absolutely not. Never heard of the bloke. He's starting on the wing for them. Yeah. Fa'atape Solomona in the centres. He had a shocker last week. Stafford Toa is probably the most experienced. And then you've got, like, I think this has to be one of the youngest pairings in the history of the NRL. Latu Fainu and Lachlan Galvin.
Yeah,
Aren't they
sure.
both 18?
if they're not 17. Yeah, I think that was a bit of an issue this week, though. Did you see that Bateman had a blow up with our mate Benji?
Is that what happened?
So
He's gone back to the Super League.
So what happened, allegedly, according to those NRL 360 wounders, is that he came into the changing sheds afterwards.
Right.
Benji gave him a spray for playing a shit game, and he said, "You never spray the young fellas. You just big them up, and then you shit on all the older players. It should all be backwards, blah, blah, blah." They had it out in front of the whole team, and then the very next day he's signed to the Wolverhampton Wolves or the Wigan Warriors or whoever the fuck he's going to play for.
Right.
Over there. He's out of here.
I think John Bateman, this is the second time he's packed a sad and gone back to the UK and then come back.
Yeah.
I don't think he's the kind of guy you want at your club. If you want a guy like Mitch Barnett, you don't want a guy who just throws his toys hard out in front of everyone and signs in the Super League at the drop of a hat.
Yeah, but it just continues like in a long list of just terrible, terrible shit that happens at the West Tigers.
Well, because who are there? And the reason their backline this week's so shit is because, so inexperienced, I should say, is because I think Dewey recently came back and they're resting him. Right. It's his 17th ACL injury or whatever it is.
Yeah, 3, I think.
Adam Caesar, who was retired and dead and buried, and they dug him up and they chucked the halfback jersey on him. He's serving his second suspension of the season somehow.
Yeah.
And then there was someone else in the backs as well who's out for whatever reason it might be.
Couldn't tell you.
Which just means it's just the school kids are all playing.
Yeah, that's right.
It's going to be, and to be honest, if we don't run an absolute muck against this team, it'll just be.
Well, it will be season over.
It will be. We have to win every game.
We have to win every game from here on out to guarantee a spot in the playoffs.
But I tell you what,
And
even then, absolutely. It's like the amount of teams that are sort of vying for those last couple of spots. But if we don't run it, I'd love to put 50 on the Tigers just to undo some of the damage and that points differential from that Titans game.
just for us to feel good.
Just a little palate cleanser. Like, okay, we've washed our hands of that. We've absolutely kicked the Tigers' ass.
Yeah.
Let's just shift attention away from us.
Yeah, we were talking about, because I asked them, obviously you can't look too far ahead in the season or you'll lose the game directly in front of you. But, what do? They do opposed training sessions with I'm sure this is nothing new to anyone who's followed league for a long time, where the New South Wales Cup boys come in and they try and play as the West Tigers and give the Warriors something to defend against.
You're right.
And I was like, I really wanted to ask, but I held back on it because, I had a tough run of asking questions already. And I wanted to ask, did you blow them out? When they were playing like the Tigers, did they just shit the bed the whole time?
I reckon. God, you look at, imagine being Uppy Coruscant, right? He is the only dude of some decency on this side. Even Isaiah Papali'i, who's gone there and has just been just an average back rower now.
I would say that the only other blue chip player in there is Stefano Utoikamanu, who at the moment is in a contract battle.
That's right. And he's not even playing that great.
So it's they are in all sorts. They're in disarray. I'm trying to talk myself into Warriors 13 plus, but I just can't get there because our backline, I was talking to Angie on Radio Hodaki today. I said, if this is the first time you've tuned into the Warriors for a few weeks, you may not recognise the backline at all.
Yeah, that's right.
Ali Leataua, Moala, Graham Taufa, Ed Kossi.
And then you've got Leka Halasima off the bench as well. Once again, only 2 forwards on the bench does my head in. Just Jazz and Jackson Ford. Lussick's in there at hooker. We barely used him last week. I just don't understand this. Just put some big fellas on there.
Who? Oh, man. The injury ward's just so...
This is one thing we have to also keep in mind is we have been decimated by injuries.
Yeah.
The whole season.
Yeah.
We've just, our combinations are completely wrecked from it.
Yeah.
But to be fair, our run home is decent and a little cherry on top. Round 27, Manaia, we got the bye.
Yeah, well, at this rate, we may not even win that. But do you think that Chanel Harris-Tavita kicks this weekend?
Yes.
You do?
Yeah.
I agree with you. I think he does too.
He's a footy player, this kid. He's a first grade footy player, right?
Yeah.
He's also a really good kicker. There was a stat that Minogue found on our show. He was saying that, he probably just took it from another podcast. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how much he's pouring through the stats of NRL players, but of the 20 NRL players who've kicked 50 or more all time, of all the players, only 20 of them have kicked over 80%, and Chanel Harris-Tavita is in that for his all-time goal kicking. I don't know if he's still in there.
Yeah.
after the weekend.
It's a tough week to get the Chanel Harris-Tavita's a good kicker take off.
Well, to be fair, after the damage I did to him at the weekend.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. And you really copped it on that video that went out on the ACC's Instagram.
It's just great, though, because
it was people looking for someone to blame.
Absolutely.
And they don't want to blame Chanel.
And this
it's not
is
his fault.
This is the great thing about this Chanel Harris-Tavita having an absolute howler, is it was so bad that everyone's just like, I feel sorry for him. I don't think it's his fault. I need someone else to blame.
Yeah.
And then into me making a lame joke, which I had like a 99%. I was 99% sure he was going to kick the goal. So I was like, I can get away with this. And then he didn't, and it was one of the worst things I've ever done.
It was an all-time commentator's curse.
Yeah, and it was the first time I've really had like a barrage of hate on all these different platforms, but not full hate for anything personal.
No.
Just like, how dare you screw the Warriors over hate?
Yeah.
And I'd like to apologise, but to be fair, if I went back and did it again, it's pretty funny. Like, that's every piece of like F you Keezy that came through, and every joke about wanting to be on a sloped roof with a gun shooting me. I just cracked up. It's just like, I love the Warriors fans, man. It's so good.
Well, they hate you. Yeah, I think he kicks as well. I think Chanel Harris-Tavita to me seems like when he's at his best, he is like a proper game breaker.
Yes,
you know,
he is.
The first you would have heard of him was he was the guy who I think it was the Kiwis under 20s or under 19s or something. He did the scorpion kick.
Oh my God.
And scored a try off it.
That was sick.
Where he dropped the ball behind his back, heeled it over his head and scored a try. In a game of consequence.
I so forgot about that.
He is a player that runs off confidence. You know, back in his first stint with the Warriors, he was putting shots on dudes, come screaming out of the line and kill dudes on defense.
Yeah, I hope he will be kicking, but if he's not kicking, right, and we have to rule Mitch Barnett out because you interviewed him, he got groin surgery, right, and now he can't kick anymore.
He said, I got the snip and now I can't kick.
Right.
Which, I don't know.
Someone screwed that up.
Well, at the time I thought it was, a vasectomy, but he's just given birth to a second kid. Well, he hasn't, but, you know. Anyway, he hasn't had a vasectomy, is what I'm saying.
Who do you think's kicking behind?
I think, is it not
Chanel?
Tamati? What?
You assume so, right?
What can't he do?
Yeah, I assume so. But just looking down, like, can Wade Egan kick?
I wouldn't have thought so. He'd see about 4 posts when he looked up.
That's a really good point. I feel like Dylan Walker could probably kick as well. I don't know.
I do too. Dylan Walker seems like the guy who grabbed the tee at the end of practice and just drill them. You're like, why don't you do it in the game? Nah.
Just messing around. Yeah, so that's who I reckon Tamati Martin or Dylan Walker. And the reason we're even spitballing this is because at the weekend we were down to our 4th choice kicker.
Yeah.
So things happen.
I come with the man. But look, long and short of that, looking at those two teams as they line up, what do you think is going to happen here? How do you think this game plays out? Would you like to know who's the favourite at the TAB?
Sure. I mean, I know who it is, but sure.
It is the Warriors.
Yeah.
$1.26.
Correct. What are the Tigers paying?
$3.90.
Oh, it's good eating. Nah, look, the issue with
the line's 13.5 as well.
The issue with that's a tricky line. But to be fair, the Warriors could blow that open, or it could be one of those annoying, really close games where it shouldn't be. I feel like the Warriors are going to absolutely do a number on the Tigers and just reignite everyone's hopes for the rest of the season. Hopefully, start a bit of a win streak. And if Dallin and Roger don't combine for 3 or more tries, I will eat my hat.
Wow, okay. We might have to look into that for the Mad Monday hunch later on in the podcast. I agree with you as well. The $1.88 for them to win 13 plus. I think, yes, we're in a tough spot, but I think the Tigers are in an even worse spot.
Yeah, they've got nothing to play for.
And like I was saying to Angie earlier on today, I was like, look, if we can just hump the Tigers this weekend, then we just get a week of being like, we get a week of everything's right in the world.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
then we're going into the Eels.
Yeah. Which will be tough. But, I mean, fuck, we could win 2. And imagine the fever pitch here in New Zealand if we beat the Tigers, then beat the Eels. It'll be, do we dare to dream?
Well, the good thing about the two teams we're about to play is they're both the wooden spoon contenders.
Yeah.
Whereas the Tigers have no issue getting the wooden spoon because they're used to it. The Eels, however, were in the grand final 2 years ago.
Yeah.
They are playing to not get the spoon.
We then hit the Dolphins who are humming. We hit the Sea Eagles who are humming. We hit the Bulldogs who are kind of humming.
To be fair, Dolphins and Sea Eagles are sort of humming, but they are beatable. Their defense, both those teams, their defense is pretty shoddy, but their attack is awesome.
Sharks beatable.
Yeah.
And then a bye, surely.
Mate, like, there's no Roosters in this run. There's no Melbourne. There's no Penrith.
Yep.
There is not, like, to be honest, what I'm worried the most about is the Bulldogs, just because of their defense. But we almost beat them the other day. You know, that's
very,
stupid.
very close.
Yeah. So we should be able to go on, and we've said this so many times.
We've said it for about 6 weeks now.
But we should be able to go on a bit of a win streak here.
Yeah.
And just get things hissing for the end of the season.
I agree with you. Look, the 4-24 pack, the Mad Monday. We're just going to take a second to compose ourselves.
How was
here.
rehab, man?
The 4-24 pack prize pack. All right. Now that's a tongue twister.
I know.
On the best of the times. 4-24 pack prize pack. Each month, the Mad Monday team are giving away 4 tickets to the Warriors and 4-20 pie vouchers to enter. Text the monthly keyword 3236. Listen to the podcast EPS to find out the new keyword. You're listening right now. The keyword is spit. Text spit to 3236 to be into the win. 4 tickets to the Warriors and 4-20 pies.
Just had a thought.
Yeah.
Where the hell's Justin Olam and like David Clemmer and all those kind of guys at the Tigers? Have they just completely dropped all their old boys now and they're just giving up? Because that's what it seems like.
Look, a better podcast would probably have known that.
Yeah, and that wasn't a question to you without preempting it. It's just a thought I just had. I was like, surely they have some older players here. What the hell's happened to them all? But yeah, we should pants them. We better.
We will pants them. All right, take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit of SuperCoach. Look, Chris, I don't know who to bring in this week. I'm going to be completely honest with you.
Have you got Cleary?
We're getting down to the pointy head. Yes, so this is the thing. The only guaranteed blue chip must buy this week, I think, is Nathan Cleary.
That's right. So you and I think we both brought him in. I was on your couch when I brought him in.
Last week, yeah.
So we brought him in and it was like, shit, he's coming back from the hammy, but he's had extra time off.
I also had Nico Hines, so I was like, I don't want to have that money sitting on the bench.
Same here. We did the exact same trade. Hines out, finally, Cleary in. That is locked in unless he gets injured for the rest of the season. The Panthers, I think, have the easiest or the second easiest run home for the rest of the season. Panthers, Knights, Warriors, and like Sharks.
So the Panthers play the Dragons this weekend.
I think they might have a bye somewhere.
Then the Knights. Then the Eels. They do play the Storm at one point. But
Now,
I mean,
what a great game that's going to be.
That is going to be an absolute banger.
But I think they play every game as well.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
So getting Nathan Cleary in is excellent. It's a shame Dylan Edwards is out because, to be honest, if you don't have Turbo, and I've actually got a note here that says don't bring Turbo in.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Is that a hot take?
Oh, just we'll get to that hot take.
Okay.
Just on the Dylan Edwards thing, they tend to cannibalize each other's numbers a little bit. That's why Dylan Edwards has been the highest scoring player this season because Cleary's been out.
And
so.
and he does more, and he was also, I think, their goal kicker, Dylan Edwards.
I don't think it's a good thing that he's out for Cleary's numbers, but it's yeah. That's what it is. Why don't you want to get Turbo? He has had 2 massive scores in the last couple of weeks. I believe he is playing this weekend. Then next week they've got a bye.
He's playing the Panthers this weekend. He will score 50, and then he has a bye, is why you wouldn't bring him in.
Right.
The following week after that, you look at him, and then I think that's when Kalen Ponga, because Kalen Ponga's obviously back.
He's on the bye this week.
He's on the bye this week, and then Kalen Ponga, I believe, plays. He might be playing a team like the Panthers as well. Let me just double check.
He is playing the Panthers, yeah.
So you've got this interesting situation where 2 of the best fullbacks that aren't Teddy have got Panthers and a bye. Wait 2 weeks for both, and then just have a geeze at the rest of the run home as to which one of those 2 you want, because I think KP is actually going to be like 600 and something thousand, and Tom Turbo is going to be so expensive. If you don't have Turbo,
it's going to be hard to get him.
It's going to be hard to get him, but don't bring him in this week because he's playing the Panthers, and then there's a bye.
Yeah.
If you have to wait, and I've got Pappy, who's just found out his feet are broken and has to have daily injections just to play.
20-something needles in the last few days.
It's just like, fuck, I can't. I wish I knew that news before I brought him in.
Yeah.
I mean, cry for me, but also I feel extremely sorry for him. Just wait a couple of weeks and have a geese, because then you've got Ponga to look at, who'll be way cheaper than Turbo, and I will be bringing in Ponga.
Yeah.
And just that Turbo against the Panthers and then a break. And then what happens when Cooler comes back? Is Cooler going to go back to fullback? And there's just so many question marks, man.
No, I think Turbo's back to fullback full time.
But that's a gamble, right? Whereas with Ponga, there is no gamble. He is the fullback.
I guess the gamble is
The Tyson gamble.
The Tyson gamble here is, and I had this Tyson gamble last week, was what if Ponga's a little bit flat. His team's not as good. So what if he struggles? And he did last week. I was gutted. I made the call. I was like, I'm going Ponga. I'm not going Turbo. And he scored 49 points.
Who did they play?
Turbo scored like 50-something. If I'm scrolling back, the Knights, they took on... I don't know. They took on the Broncos, and they lost 30 points to 14.
That's right. Yeah, they had a bit of a shitter. But their run home, the Knights, is really good. The Knights play, Panthers, then Tigers, Sharks, Rabbitohs, Titans, Dolphins. And after their bye, which is this week, they don't miss another game for the rest of the season. So it's just one of those flip of the coin things. Last year, Ponga was the best player in SuperCoach when he was healthy. 2 years before that, Tom Turbo was.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, don't bring Turbo in yet. Wait till he's had that bye and played the Panthers, and then
have a look at
weigh
both
up
of
the
them.
two. Yeah.
And then I think decide who do you like watching play more.
Absolutely.
That's what I settled on.
Absolutely. And do you have heaps of nights, in which case maybe don't bring Ponga and maybe go for Turbo, and vice versa. And also see which one's got the highest ownership. Because if, like, let's say 70% of Supercoaches had Turbo, what's the point of bringing him in? You're just joining everyone. You may as well take a punt and bring in the other fella that, like, maybe only 10% of people have.
That's right. Try and get a win instead of batting for a draw.
Exactly.
The other player that's on my radar, and I've tried to shuffle him around, and I think it's quite a confusing spot for him, is Angus Crichton. Because if you got rid of him over that origin period, you're probably going to want to get him back. But there's no shortage of massive second row options.
Well, that's the thing is I've looked at mine because I was like, shit, I need to get Crichton back. And then I was like, well, do I? Because I've got
Fafita, Olukoatu, and Katoa.
Well, yeah, the big three.
Yeah.
I've also got Mitch Barnett in my front row, who's second row eligible.
Yeah.
And Keon Kolomatangi.
Yeah, see, this is the thing.
That is stacked.
So it's a massive luxury trade. You would have to have so many trades up your sleeve to be able to pull that off.
I've got 6.
I've got 8, and even I'm not.
See, even 8, I reckon if you've got 10, then maybe like downgrade someone, get some extra cash, bring Crichton in, because he will be mean for the rest of the season. I think they've got one more buy, though. But to be honest, if you've got like any of those 5 dudes we just said, and there's a couple of other fellas too, then you might not need to. It's a very like sideways trade almost.
Yeah, I know. Josh Curran's in my second row thing as well.
Now that Max King's gone down, a few more minutes for him.
Front row, you brought him in a while ago. It has paid dividends for you, and that is Mitch Barnett. He's now one of the highest paid, most expensive players.
Jesus.
Most expensive players in Supercoach, and deservedly so. His run of form over the last few games, they've just been ton.
He's taken over from Adam Fanua-Blake.
Yeah.
Having said that, Adam Fanua-Blake's 500 and something at the moment, so you could sneak him back in. But then you have to keep in mind, round 27, the final round, the Warriors have a bye, so Mitch won't be playing, and Adam won't be playing. A guy I was seriously considering, because I've still got Terrell May, who just seems to hang in there. He's coming off the bench this week. He's $669,000, which is a shitload. I was thinking about Payne Haas.
Oh, so was I.
But he's just, he didn't train today. He's got an injury. Ugh. So it's just all these things like that. But also I'm like, shit, with 6 trades left, do I give a shit about front row? I think you save those 6 trades for like guns, center wings, fullbacks, second rowers.
I think so too. I also think like each week I treat Supercoach like, what is my opportunity? Like, what's my advantage this week? My advantage this week is I have a full team, and I even get to pick between Kale, Iro, and Burbo.
Yeah, right.
Off the bench. Like, I've got enough players. I don't need dudes in. So my advantage this week is I don't have to trade.
Bro.
So if I can sit on those, and then next week Nathan Cleary does his hammy again or something like that, you know what I mean?
And the other good thing too is if you can go to round 20, because the overall season finishes in round 27, but I think head-to-head leagues finish up in round 26.
Yeah.
But if you are going overall, which I am, I'm kind of trying to do both.
Yeah, same.
If you go into those 2 last weeks with 4 trades up your sleeve, so you can make 2 trades per week, there are going to be restings, there are going to be all sorts of shenanigans going on.
Yeah.
So you kind of want 4 for the last 2 weeks, you know?
Yeah.
So if you think about that and then look at your trades, and you've got enough players to field a healthy, decent, and you're just sort of nitpicking, it's not even worth it.
Yeah, that's sort of where I'm at the moment. So I'm not bringing anyone in. So
Neither.
Hey?
Neither am I.
Neither are you. I've talked to a couple of people around the office. Adam and Joel have both told me that they're not bringing anyone in, but they're also playing each other in the head-to-head matchup.
But Adam has got like 70 trades.
He's got 11, yeah.
He just doesn't trade, and I admire him.
I think they're both foxing. I
Right.
think they don't want to tell anyone
Yeah,
what
right.
they're doing so the other one doesn't find out. Who do you captain this weekend then? If you're looking down there, I mean, I think I'm one of a million people who captained Teddy last week, and he scored 33.
I avoided that just because I was like, oh, everyone's captaining him. And then, like, that's sort of where you can take pot shots and try and catch people up.
Yeah, and I lost because of it.
Yeah. Obviously, Turbo was the god.
Yes.
But I captained Garrick, who got 80. I should have captained Cleary, but first game back. I'm going to learn my lesson and captain him this week. They're playing the Dragons.
Sorry, who? Turbo.
Cleary.
Cleary, yes.
So Nathan Cleary, Penrith playing the Dragons on Saturday night. Oh, sorry, I think they might be on Sunday, which means you've got a free shot at, 4 p.m. Sunday, they're playing the Dragons. So vice captaining,
Mitch Barnett.
You could, to be fair, yeah.
You could.
If you've got RTS, he'd be a good one.
Yeah.
But the one I'm going for is, and he's got a foot with 21 needles hanging out of it. I am going to vice captain Ryan Pappenhausen against the Eels.
Wow.
Just because the Storm are in such great form, surely he can limp over for a hat-trick against a terrible Eels outfit.
Yeah, I don't mind that.
And that's the sort of thing where like 1% of people might be doing that, captain. And so if it comes off, it's like a pod.
Yeah.
But I'm probably going to be Nathan Cleary for captain.
Yeah. I was undone last week by the person I was playing in the head-to-head, Captain Hammer. And Hammer scored like 148 points.
It's such a great game,
exactly how many points I lost by. I am with you as well. I think if you've got Nathan Cleary in your team, put the captain on him. And if you lose, you lose.
Yeah, put the captain on him and then chuck a cheeky vice captain on one of your favourite players who's playing earlier, whether it is Mitch Barnett or just someone you could feel might have a good game.
Aden Fanua-Blake reeks of 2 tries this weekend.
Absolutely. Their forward pack is pathetic for the Tigers. I love saying all this and then
we get shit on.
probably.
But
yeah, put it on the Warriors there. That could be a good option. Just quickly, we mentioned the Dolphins there, Hammer. Would you be keen to bring him in?
I did look at it, and basically I can do like Val Holmes, because I feel like the Cowboys have come off the boil quite a bit.
Yeah.
I could do Val Holmes to Hammer. I could...
Can I, before you decide, the Dolphins play the Titans this weekend. Roosters, Warriors, Bulldogs, Melbourne, Broncos, Knights to finish.
Oh, no.
One of the worst finishes to the season is the Dolphins. They've got one of the hardest paths.
You know what? That makes me want to bin Asako still in my team.
Bro, same. And so here's what I'm eyeing up for next week, all right?
Yeah.
Isako is playing the Titans this week.
Oh, yeah.
Their defense is shit. Leave him in there. Hopefully he scores a double and converts all the tries and gets 100.
Yeah.
Trade his ass down to Isaac Tango.
Oh, yeah.
He's 390 something.
Yeah.
He was around 800,000 at the start of the season because Nathan Cleary was playing with him and opening up that right side.
Yeah.
Since then, once Nathan Cleary went down, his scores went down the toilet.
Yeah, he fell off the cliff.
He's now back, and the Panthers have got a beautiful run home.
Yeah.
And he's just like your 6th option or whatever, and it frees up $300,000.
Yeah, I like that. Similar option, Ronaldo Mulitalo, for a very similar reason.
Down to him. Yes.
You're not going to clear up as much cash.
No, but with Braden Trindle dominating that team.
And then the one last option that was rattling around in my head is the McLean fellow who's on the wing for the Panthers at the moment. He is bargain basement, 240K.
If you really need to clear up some, I've already got I've got Jake. Is it Jacob Tungle? Jake Tungle for the Eels. He's bottom dollar, but he sucks and the Eels suck. I wish I'd held off and gone for him
for
instead.
McLean. Yeah, because he's a genuine shot.
If you've got a guy who's worth 600,000, you can clear up a whole lot of cash and just absolutely bring in a gun like Angus Crichton or something.
Yeah, 100%.
Then that fella, he looks to have decent jobs-ish. He should play at least half of the games moving forward.
So I think we're in agreement. Bring Cleary in, figure out how you can do that with your team, captain him as well, don't overthink it. Don't bother with a massive high-rolling prop if you don't have one already.
If you've got a couple of guys punching out 50s, just leave them.
Probably steer clear of the Dolphins.
Steer clear of the Dolphins' hardest run home.
After this week.
Yeah, after they play the Titans.
And then McLean's your cash out option.
That's right. And a little tongue there if you want an actual playable cash option.
A little tongue in action going.
Yeah.
4-20 is giving you the opportunity to see the Warriors versus the Bulldogs on August 23rd. We will remain undefeated between now and then. So you're going to want to go. Thanks to the Mad Traveller, this includes flights, accommodation, $500 cash. To win that, text PI to 3236 and you will be in to win. Or all thanks to the 4-20 Traveller pie. You can eat that with one hand or with a knife and fork. It's entirely up to you. We're going to take one more quick break. When we come back, We're going to put together today's Mad Monday hunch. All right, Chris, you put this one together last week, and you mentioned that you had never in your life hit a 3-leg multi before in a game. And
No.
And unfortunately, you were still undone. You did hit 2 legs, which is the most agonizing way to miss one.
Yeah, so it's classic. And the worst part was I put so much research into that multi about the Raiders not being able to score points in the first half, and we always come out firing. And then we did that thing where we don't come out firing.
Yeah.
So that was the one that let us down, was the Warriors to just win the first half. I didn't even have a who was going to win overall because I just don't want to bet on that anymore with the Warriors.
Yeah.
I'm just done with those. Not because I don't believe in them, because whatever I bet, the opposite seems to happen.
Well, this is the problem with betting on or against the Warriors, is you're already so emotionally invested.
That's right. So bet on try scorers, bet on fun stuff.
Yeah.
That's what I like to do now.
So you said something before, and I've immediately forgotten.
Oh, Dallin and Roger to combine for 3 or more.
3 or more? I don't think you can do 3 or more. I'm just scrolling through now. Oh, maybe you can. 1, 2, 3 combined tries, duos, Dallin and Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, that is paying $4.50.
Fuck, that's not much.
I know.
But looking at that team, all right.
Because they think it's going to happen.
Now, do we multi that up with something else? Or do we just leave it?
I think we leave it.
We just leave that, right?
I think we leave it.
See, this is where they get you.
Otherwise, it gets too convoluted.
Yeah. Let's just leave that.
Because you've now got 2 guys that need to score 3 tries plus 2 other things. It's just going to be too hard to.
Yeah. Whereas what we're betting on now is just a bloody exciting game where our experienced backs are going to tear through their extremely young and inexperienced backs.
Yes. And I'm placing that bet right now. So for those of you mutants at home that like to follow us along, that is DWZ or Roger Tuivasa-Sheck to score 3+ tries between the 2 of them. And that is $4.50. If you want to find that on the TAB app, go down to Try Scorer Combo Markets. It's actually quite a fun way to bet. There's a million different options down there. It'll be myself and Hurley tomorrow night commentating that one.
Yeah, it was supposed to be me, but I've been stood down.
Yeah, oh, you've been stood down?
Yeah, for the commentary curse.
Oh, of course. I had been stood down, but due to insufficient numbers, we've been given a grant from the league.
Yeah, that's right.
To allow me to still play. So yeah, enjoy that. Enjoy the commentary tomorrow live on Sky Sport 9. Enjoy your weekend of rugby league, and we will be back on Monday for another episode of the Mad Monday podcast.
See ya.
Bye.
Australia without rugby league is not Australia.